Yeah, so to be clear, before we start the debate, I'm going to be saying that there is a negative first order moral verdict in regards to most abortions. That's just to say that most abortions are immoral. The argument is very simple. If non-reductionism is true, then most abortions are immoral. Non-reductionism is true, therefore most abortions are immoral. And this is modus ponens.
Can you extrapolate on what reductionism is or non-reductionism is?
Yeah, I take non-reductionism to just be the thesis that a person's identity and existence when they, proceed through time isn't going to be the type of thing which is fully reduced down to, their physical body, their psychological continuity, memories, or any other properties. I take it that there's an irreducible property there, which we can talk about in regards to the person's identity.
And what is that
argument for? I have an argument for each premise. It's irreducible.
Okay, but what does that property entail? Oh, it's primitive. It's primitive. Okay.
It's irreducible. That's why it's called non-reductionism, because the personhood isn't reducible down to any other properties.
Okay, what's your motivation for this existing?
Yeah, well, we're not saying it exists, right? It's just a thesis about existing entities. But basically, the argument for non-reductionism is it's as follows. If possibly there are two persons with exactly the same physical and psychological properties while being distinct subjects, then non-reductionism is true. Possibly there exist two persons with exactly the same physical properties while being distinct subjects. Obviously not at the same time, we're talking hypothetically speaking. And the argument for premise 2 is just, it seems prima facie there's no contradiction. I take that to be in support, at least in some way, that there's no or I take that to be support for the proposition, at least in some sense, that there's no contradiction, which is just say that's possible. But we can also, convey it as, a conjunctive truth table, where the proposition doesn't output as false or least all evaluations, and that's trivially going to make it to where this type of thing is possible. And we can take the postulates P and Q, where postulate P is just there are two persons, and then postulate Q is X and Y have exactly the same physical properties.
This might be me being a dumbass. Aren't you adding a property, like this irreducible property, right?
What are you talking about?
You're like, this irreducible property is one that everything contains. Like all fetuses contain this property.
Yeah.
Is it distinct from the mind?
Is it distinct from the mind? Yeah, obviously it's distinct from the mind.
Oh, it's separate from physical brain parts, right?
Yeah, the person's identity is not going to be determined by their physical or psychological properties. I already said this, right? The factor is going to be the type of thing which is immaterial, but it's a non-reducible fact. That's why it's called non-reductionism. But I'm unclear on if you have a defeater to the sub-argument I just levied for.
Bro, I'm trying to think right now. Okay, so if I'm tracking correctly, there's an irreducible property that everything entails. Is it only
there's an irreducible property, which is a fact about the personhood.
Do only persons have this? Do only humans have this?
I'm agnostic on that. It's not relevant to the argument if only humans have it, by the way.
I'm just trying to test the principle upon if it's regards to animals, then you would consider you'd be vegan, right? It would be more practical or pragmatic by your worldview, right? It would be termination.
I'm agnostic. Yeah, I'm agnostic though.
So do you agree that termination of said property is wrong, right?
It's not termination of the property. I take it that unaliving an innocent person is wrong in most cases, and that's
due to non-reductionism, correct?
Yeah, non-reductionism would make it to where if you unalive a fetus or a fertilized egg at conception, you'll be unaliving a person. Yeah, an innocent person.
A person, and obviously the only sufficient condition or only necessary condition is this property. But what does this property apply to? Just everything that's a fetus? I'm just confused.
It's just the property is just personhood. Right, it's personal identity. It's not reducible to any other fact, by any other fact. But this property presumably is going to apply to the fetus, the egg, just as much. Yeah, I have an argument for that. So it seems like if non-reductionism is true, then a person's identity, or the person who exists at conception, is going to be numerically identical.
Yeah.
To the person who later exists as a fetus, child, and adult. Right, and this is just an entailment because we're saying that. Fetus and properties aren't going to make them a numerically different person.
Why do we
changes in the properties that make them a numerically different person, and the same human organism is going to develop continuously from conception through adulthood? Then the person at conception is going to be numerically identical to the later fetus, child, and adult. So why this is going to apply presumably in all stages of life.
My bad for cutting you off there. Why does one ought to protect this, or why is there a moral obligation for this property to be maintained?
Yeah, because if you unalive the fetus, presumably you'll be unaliving an innocent person, right? Because an entailment from non-reductionism is just that the person who exists at conception is identical to the same person throughout its entire life. So you'd just be unaliving an innocent person. I take it that unaliving an innocent person is morally wrong in most cases.
Can you guys stop DMing me? I want to take this serious. I want to see if I can go relevant. This is terrible, but
stop DMing me. Have any type of the premises.
Real quick, everyone in chat, stop DMing me, bro. I don't want to.
I don't want to play 20 questions. I want to know if you have a defeater.
Well, what do you mean you don't want to play 20 questions? Is the entire point of a debate to elaborate, expand upon views, and then give defeaters? What?
Well, I think I've already explicated enough in regards to
enough. What does enough mean? I can continue if I'd like.
Yeah, such that it's informative, so you can get a full picture of what the argument's saying. Do you still not understand the argument?
I understand it partially, so I'm still inquiring.
Okay, what do you not understand?
Yeah, I'm just going to continue my. So this property is pretty much personhood itself. Personhood itself applies to fetuses. It grounds to something to be innocent. You're agnostic on whether it applies to animals for some odd reason, even though it is relevant to test principle itself.
You understand that personhood applying to animals is a type of thesis, which is a substantive philosophical position, and it's the type of thing which is extremely controversial. So I don't know why you're saying. I don't know what. Yeah, it's a substantive philosophical thesis, and it's the type of thing which is extremely controversial, right? So I don't know why you just said. I don't know why you just said, "Oh, you're agnostic on this," for some reason.
Just because it's controversial doesn't entail it's wrong. What?
I didn't say. What are you talking about? Oh my goodness!
Just because a view is controversial, I don't inherently allow it to have like less credence for it to be true. What? I guess just because a view is controversial doesn't mean
it being controversial. Like, in light of the fact that it's controversial, you shouldn't be saying, "Oh, you're agnostic for whatever reason," right? Because you know that majority of people are torn on this, right? Like, you're acting like there's some type of decisive decision.
You would still entail reasoning.
What?
Never mind. It's whatever. So okay, so you're at least quietist on it being or agnostic on it being applicable.
Yeah, that's not relevant to the argument.
I'm thinking out loud, bro. It's fine. Would you suppose this immaterial property? Well, you're obviously not going to be a physicalist now. Let me think. I got this. I got a defeater. I'll think of one. Chill.
Yeah,
this is the new argument. We were in the lab working on it. This is a new argument for pro-life.
Yo, Capp, when you're done, I got a question about the argument.
Okay.
Okay, so this property is personhood. How does this property come to be?
Yeah, I take it that it's going to begin at the personhood is going to begin at conception.
Since going to begin at conception, cannot be reduced. This property entails nothing, right? Besides it being irreducible and granting personhood, or it is personhood itself.
Yeah, it's an irreducible, non-physical, non-psychological fact.
Okay. And
it's also like the changes in these properties, like changes in the physical properties or psychological properties, aren't going to make the person numerically different either.
Numerically different. So this is a sort of animalism, right?
I don't know what animalism is, but if you take it to be animalism, like maybe you can expound on that thesis, and I'll tell you if it's accurate.
I mean, animalism pretty much just supposes that everything would be like numerically identical, despite it's just numeric identity. I'd say it's similar to this argument.
Yeah, the fetus is numerically identical to the person. It's the same person who later exists as an adult.
Yeah, I forgot my objection to that belief.
But I gave an argument for it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna concede, bro.